Hello and welcome. Today, I want to talk about something just briefly, and that is how to leave your church gracefully. Um, once we realize that being there isn't healthy for us, or even if we decide that we just don't want to go there, or we have the realization that we don't have to attend a church to be believers, Christians, um, and we decide that we want to leave. First, I like to say it's okay to leave if you just don't like being there. You don't have to attend church to have relationship with God or to believe in God or to follow or walk with God, however you want to put it. You don't have to do that. And you can still have an amazing relationship with God and with other fellow believers without attending a church. I've heard people say time and time again, like, God, just he won't release me from this church. And, we don't like it here, but we feel called here, or we can't leave yet, or God commands us to go to church, as being a Christian means you have to go to church. If you don't go, you're backslidden, or somehow you're in sin, or even, I've even heard some places teaching that you're going to go to hell if you don't go to church. And none of that is true. None of that is true. So when you decide that it's time to leave for whatever reason, and your reason for leaving that belongs to you. You don't owe anyone any kind of explanation for leaving. You don't. Now, if you are going to leave like a club or a group or something, there isn't that same feeling of obligation or that same sense of guilt or shame when we leave. It's just like, this isn't working for me anymore, or I feel it's time for me to move on, or, whatever, or I'm just leaving. But when it comes to leaving a church, for some reason, it's this long drawn out process, it's agonizing, or that these weird things like, God won't let me leave. Okay, first of all, God doesn't want you to be miserable in your church. And that, to me, there's something not right if you're not happy in a church and you feel that, God is keeping you there even though you're miserable. I don't believe that at all. And that's not the God I know. The God I know loves me, and he cares about my heart, and he says my heart is good. And if I'm in a church where I'm being abused, or I'm not happy because of there's things going on, or I just simply don't like going there, he's not going to force me to stay. God doesn't control us. He's not a controller. He doesn't make us do anything we don't want to do, right? He gives us free will. We have free will to choose what we decide to do. Now, we can talk with God about it. We can, learn about the things that are pleasing to him or whatever, but he's not going to force you to do anything. And if you leave a church, he's not going to be mad at you. Okay, maybe you ended up in that church because you thought that's where you were supposed to be, but maybe God is actually telling you in some way, nudging you that this isn't where you're supposed to be. Okay, so that is actually probably another video altogether. But all right, you have made the decision to leave the church for whatever reason, and you're not sure how to do it. Now, when there's traumatic stuff involved, and there's been abuse and things, it's a completely different situation versus you just want to leave. Now, what the church would say is that you should have, get together with people in leadership. If it's a small church, probably the pastor and his wife, or the elders or somebody, and sit down and talk about, why you're leaving, have this meeting. And then they may possibly pray you out, which is where they stand you up in front of the church and bless you on your way. Okay, I've never had that happen in a church when I've left. I have seen it in churches. And in those meetings, if they don't like your response, it can go good or it can go bad. Now, for some people, when there's been trauma or there's some level of fear involved, a lot of times people will make an excuse just to not rock the boat, to not just to leave peacefully and happily, and in a sense it kind of isn't really being honest in a way. And we need to be able to live with ourselves, and maybe those other people might be okay with our answer. We give them an answer that we think is going to make them happy. We're not happy with ourselves when we do that, and that is more important, right? Because they're not going to be awake at night. They're not going to feel bad about our answer, but if we're not honest, we will. So the first thing is to not be afraid of why you're leaving. And that is the first thing, to be at peace with the fact that you are leaving. Now, in a traumatic situation, you might need to get out, right? Because you've been abused. And so you could be very confused, have a lot of different emotions going on. If that's the case, then I recommend you just leave. You don't owe anybody any explanation as to why you're leaving. You can just leave, and that's okay too. Now, regardless, you don't need to, unless you are on some sort of like reoccurring charge, which they're doing for the so-called tithing now. And that's where they, automatically charge your credit card or debit card every month. If that's the case, then of course you would need to discontinue that. And again, you can just say, I'd like to discontinue it. Thank you. Well, how come? Personal matters, personal reasons. And that answer should be okay with them. That is a perfectly acceptable answer. Now, if you want to say you're leaving, if you want to let people know you're leaving, you can do it formally or informally. And you can simply say, I just feel it's time to leave. You don't have to tell them really why, because the truth is you feel it is time for you to leave. It's time for you to go. And if they push you, you can say, I'd rather not say, I'd rather not have that conversation with you. And that should be acceptable to them. Okay. Or you can just come right out and be honest with them and say, look, I'm leaving because I'm not happy here. I'm leaving for this, that, and the other reason. And honesty is always the best policy. Now, there's a way to be honest without, if they are manipulative, they're controlling. I left a church at one point that the pastor's wife was screaming at me in the middle of the sanctuary, me and another person, as people were coming in and worship was, just beginning to start, and people were looking, and this other person and I were just, we were so taken back. We were in the back of the church, and so, a lot of people heard, and she was literally just screaming at mostly me, and then, said a few choice words to the other person next to me as well. So this person and I got together with another pastor who was on the board there, and he spoke in this church, a few times a month and stuff. So we had a meeting with him, asking him how to handle the situation. Should, the typical thing is to go to that person, have a meeting. Well, I didn't feel safe going to that person alone. If she was willing to scream at me in front of people, not caring about who heard, then what would she do to me by myself? That her behavior was completely unacceptable on many levels. And so my meeting was to see how to handle the situation. Should we all get together and discuss this? And he said, absolutely not, because I know her well enough to know that it wouldn't be a safe place for you. We would love to have you continue to come. It's going to be difficult for you. And if you decide to leave, then we, bless you on your way too. So that time I did not have any other meetings. I simply left the church. And that is okay. I've had other meetings where I have just felt like it was time for me to go. I didn't feel like there was really anything going on in that church. It just wasn't the place for me any longer. I had been there for a long time. And I was told, I had a formal meeting, and I was told that I was believing a lie, that I would be back. That's the very short version of it. And it was hurtful to me, because I had prayed about it for quite a while, and I had actually stayed in the church for a lot longer than I should have. And then I had this meeting to try and honor my pastors and leave in the right way. And basically, I was hurt. I was hurt by that. And that just created an area for me. I started second guessing myself and second guessing, was I hearing God correctly? And actually, it was them, but it took me a long time to work through that. So I'm sharing these things with you to tell you that if you want to leave your church gracefully for you, in a way that's right for you, do it in a way that's right for you. Okay? You don't have to have a meeting. You don't have to let anybody. Now, if you're serving in the church, then yes, you need to step down from serving and have that conversation, that you're leaving the church. And it is okay to say, I'd really rather not discuss my reasons why. I feel that that's personal, and let that be that. And if they want to push it any further, then just hold to it. I'd rather not have this conversation with you. I'd rather not discuss it. It's a private matter for me. And that should be okay. You can write a letter. There's a lot of different ways to leave gracefully, and safely. Okay, because they're not going to want you to go. Now, in some cases, it's going to be like, hey, sorry to see you go. It's a bummer. We're always going to be, your family, and we're here if you want to come back. And that's great. And that's great. Please know that that is not going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. And that's okay too. That is okay too. And it's probably better for you, because if you feel like it's time for you to leave the church, there's a reason. There is a reason. Something isn't right for you there. And that's okay. Okay. So just leave in a way that you feel comfortable. There is no right way. There is no wrong way. The right way is what is best for you, and what you feel is best for you, not what your best friend says is the right thing to do, not how your pastor says is the right thing to do, or the elders in the church. No, it's what is right for you, what you feel best doing. And it doesn't have to happen before you stop going. It can happen, like you could take a few weeks off just to make sure that's what you want to do. And then you can, leave in a way that feels comfortable for you. I hope this makes sense, and I hope I'm giving you some ideas. And I also hope that the advice I'm giving is pray about it. Do what's right for you. Be honest and safe and happy with how you left. Sugarcoating and not being honest is not going to make you happy. It might make for a peaceful exit initially, but trust me, you are not going to be happy with yourself for it. Now, do you need to go in and say, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that and this is not right? You don't have to. You don't have to do that either. You don't have to give a reason. You can't. Now, you can have a serious conversation and bring exposure to some things. I would recommend praying through that and being sure, and also being aware of what you're going to get back from that, because you can be opening a door to some very mean comments. Because if you're dealing with any kind of control and manipulation, then and abuse, it will be turned around and it will become your fault on some level. So be aware that if you're going to have that meeting or have that conversation, that can happen. Even if you say, I just feel like it's my time to go. They could tell you that you're lying or that so there's something wrong with you, that you're not hearing God. Just be prepared for that. And also, I hope that you just be brave enough to just to set that boundary and say, I'd really rather not have the discussion. I just wanted to let you know that this is what I feel is best for me. And I wish you the best. If you do wish them the best, if not, don't say that, right? This is just what I feel is right for me now. And I just wanted to to leave in a way that I feel good about. And that's it. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. For some people, it can be like very agonizing. Could be in the middle of some abusive thing going on in your church. So I do coaching, and if you need help, then you're more than welcome to grab a session with me, and I can help you. I can help you work through that, and so that we can find a way that you feel safe and you feel comfortable with leaving. Okay. Alrighty. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you on some level. If you have left a church and you left in a way that I didn't talk about today, I would love to hear from you, because your input and the input from my clients and my friends and people that I connect with on social media, like all of that helps me help others. So I would love to hear how you have left and whether or not that was a good experience or not. So you can leave a comment below. or you can send me an email, send me a message, and let me know if in that way, if you would like to keep it more on the private side. I'm not going to share any names or anything like that. I don't do that. But again, that actually helps others through me. So I look forward to hearing from you. If you like my videos, then if you could hit the subscribe and the like button, and if you have any friends or anybody that you know, share me with them. And I just appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day and watching, listening to me. I really appreciate that because our time is valuable. And all right, guys, I love you all, and I will see you next time.